Hello, welcome to a tutorial about TouchDesigner. It's a little tutorial that I prepared kind of thinking about what kind of tutorial I would like to see when I was starting in TouchDesigner, because I was doing live visuals and audio reactive stuff and 360 videos, and I just had to find out how to do many things myself because I haven't found such tutorial. So this is kind of to sum up how to create a simple 3D environment and render a 360 video that can be used for VR, and that's also a bit audio reactive. And I would think that this is a very beginner's level tutorial, so maybe I would recommend watching some very basic tutorial of TouchDesigner just to know the interface and what we're working with, but otherwise it's very dumbed down and it's very easy. So TouchDesigner is this amazing program that allows us to basically plug in almost anything that sends a signal and work with the signal, and then also be driving things like lights or audio or video or maybe some motors or just anything. You can create anything interactive in it. And you can download TouchDesigner for free on their website. It's derivative.ca. And the basic TouchDesigner has one limitation that we might need to overcome in this tutorial, or if you want to export full quality, then the free version has only limitation to 1280 by 720 pixels. So if you would like a full quality video, then you have to buy the license, but it's not that expensive. And the rest of the software we're going to be using is just for free. So I'm gonna just start now by opening TouchDesigner. And so we're gonna first create like a rendering network and some geometry that we're gonna be working with, and then I'm gonna show you how to export a 360 video, and we can add some features that will be animating the 3D stuff, 3D objects inside the scene, depending on audio levels. So I'm just gonna start from scratch, and I'm gonna delete the default. So first we need to set up a render network. We need to have some geometry, we need to have a camera and a light, so the render has something to render. So I'm gonna start by creating an environment light. Then I'm gonna add a camera, and then I'm gonna wait with the geometry quite for now. So first let's set up the environment, and we need a map to use for the environment, and for this purpose you can use any HDR image. There's, for example, HDR Heaven on internet where you can download a lot of 360 pictures in great resolution, or you can use application Google Street App actually to capture 360 spherical photos with just your phone, and it's pretty good, so I recommend that. Yeah, so for our tutorial we're just gonna work with a ramp. So let's just use let's just have some nice colors in here, and then maybe something like this. Then let's add some warmer you just really do whatever you like. And okay, let's add, yeah, by adding on the gradient, we're adding another points to interpolate the colors with, so yeah. And I'm gonna set this ramp to vertical, because we're gonna, the environment works as a huge sphere. So I'm just gonna drop this onto the environment and click on environment map. So now we have an environment map, and then let's create some first geometry. Let's start with just a simple sphere. And I'm gonna use not mesh one, but NURBS, just to have a nicer, more slimy output. And then we finally put that sphere into a geometry. Okay, so now we already have the Holy Trinity geometry, camera, and a light. In this case, it's the environment light. So now we can add a render. For now, the render is still black because we haven't added any materials, but I'm gonna display to see what we have here. So yeah, let's create a first material, and I'm gonna use PBR, physical based rendering. And that material comes with some presets, and I'm gonna make like a glossy chrome material that will be reflecting this nice ramp that we have here. I'm gonna drop it here. Wow, we have a nice iridescent ball. And what we want to do, so we have one ball in space, and right now its position is on 0, and we have a camera position at 5 on the z-axis. And I'm gonna create this video in a way that we have a camera just in the center of the world, and all the objects are floating around. So I'm gonna put it to 0, and instead I'm gonna just put the sphere somewhere. There's 2 ways how we can transform either directly the objects or the whole geometry, and because I'm gonna be using more objects and in different places, I'm gonna try and put its center, for example, to 3. Okay, so now it's gone because the camera doesn't see it. Camera is on 0, but we're gonna also create the environment visible in our viewers. So this is a trick that I was kind of expecting that, for example, the environment light would just have an option like that, but it just doesn't work like that. So way to do it is just very dumb and simple, and it means we're just gonna drop a really huge sphere into the scene, which will be our environment. And then it will have a constant material. Boom. And it's there. Now we can play with the field of view of the camera and see more of the gradient. And if we would, for example, now animate the camera, we can do that by a simple Python script, me.time.abs seconds or frames, and give it some number 20, for example. And now we see that the camera is rotating, and the sphere that we have there keeps appearing and disappearing in orbits around the camera. So that's it. That's we have a setup. But then we want how to do the 360 video. The render has an option here in this render mode. Now we're rendering a 2D window, but what we want is a cube map. And now this creates sort of a cross. It's actually like a box with 6 projections, and this gives us the overall view to just the whole space. And to see this more in a way that how our brain works and how YouTube, for example, processes the videos, then we're going to use this projection, which will turn it into a rectangle. And then we can change the resolution to whatever we want. Here on YouTube has some recommended settings for the 360 videos. So for now, I'm gonna use 1440p as the height, but it can really be any resolution, but just keep in mind that it has to be sort of it has to be either 2:1 or 16:9, otherwise it's going to be a bit distorted. And also keep in mind that the height of the video has to be really high, because you're always seeing just a part of that image. So if you make it too low, it just all be ugly and pixelated. Oops. So gonna turn on high quality resize and put the custom resolution, which in the 16:9 format would be 560 by 440. And custom resolution, output aspect resolution. So now I'm gonna turn off the display of the render, and we can see a nice rectangular video. Our camera is rotating, sphere is in space in its position, and so that's basically it. But we want to have some more fun and add some more objects, and yeah. So what can we do to make this a bit more fun? Because we're gonna be maybe adding more of objects, I'm gonna put merge here with the geometry, under the geometry, and now let's add some noise to the ball. Okay, and now the noise is not displaying. Maybe, oh, because I put it on the wrong. This is actually the geometry of the HDR, not the geometry of the ball that we're looking at. So here's the noise. Now you can see it. Now it's like all nice and slimy. And we're gonna have to merge. And we can just copy and paste a few more spheres and put them in different positions in the space. Let's just for now put 4 of them. So I put positions on 3 and -3 on x-axis and 3 and -3 on z-axis. So now if I connect all of these to merge, yeah, we have 4 slimy balls in the space. Okay, that's something. What I'm gonna do next is what if you, for example, have a 3D model that you want to import into TouchDesigner. I'm gonna, for now, not to get not to go too far away from TouchDesigner and be explaining another 3D program. Something because I'm running on Windows. There's this inbuilt fun program which is basically Microsoft Paint, but it's in 3D. So it's called 3D Paint, and that's a lot of fun, and it's super simple. So for this purpose, if we go to 3D shapes, we can doodle here. Okay, let's draw a stupid little heart, very ugly heart, beautiful. And then gonna export this heart, save as a 3D model. And TouchDesigner works with FBX models, which are models that are mostly used in computer game design as components. So let's call it heart. And now we can just drop the heart into the scene. Just click and drag. And we have one heart there. It doesn't have a material yet, so it's black. But yeah, the only annoying thing about this 3D Paint is that it doesn't have many exporting options, so it always adds some default material which we have to delete in TouchDesigner. But okay, now we have a heart, and now we can add the same material as we have here. Yay! And okay, so now I think we can maybe stop the camera. And we can focus on animating the objects instead. So I'm gonna make this heart rotate. So the same script, me.time.abs seconds times 20. And now the heart is rotating around its axis, and I'm gonna move it a bit away from, because now it's just pivoting around the 0. So I'm gonna move it to like 2, 1. So it's gonna be a bit, oops. No, 3, 0. Where has the heart gone? The heart has now disappeared. Okay. Now we have it again. Okay. We can make it rotate around all of the axes. And wow, now it's going to be sometimes reaching the camera, which creates an interesting effect. So that might be fun. Wow. Okay. And now I can maybe create another material, not to have just this reflective material. Maybe we can create something transparent, maybe some bubbles, and maybe we can just emit those bubbles and have them there like flowing upwards. So to do that, there's thing in geometry in which way you can save a lot of performance by just not copy pasting things, but you can instance things. So We can do that by creating the bubbles, another sphere, into geometry. And I'm gonna make the bubbles a bit smaller than the other spheres. And the instancing always works. Now I'm working with surface operators, but the instancing, as you can see here, it works with the chops, with the channel operators. So I'm gonna create sort of a field that will be emitting these bubbles, which will be, let's just use a grid, make the grid pretty big, because it's gonna be inside the sphere, and let's put it a bit down. And the orientation of the plane will be X and Z. Then I'm gonna use sort and change it to random, because we want these spheres to be emitted just from random places. And now, that's the fun part, now we're gonna use particle. So this will emit the particles from the grid. And we can play with how the particles behave. So we want them to be flowing from the bottom up. So I can put one force here, maybe 2, and add some turbulence, so there's some fun to it. 5, 5, 5. And we want the particles to last for some time, so they're life by 20, and maybe we don't need that many particles for now. So now I'm gonna turn this into a chop so I can use it for instancing. And so this chop will go here. Ooh! Now our frame rate dropped. And by using their parameters, yay, they're there. So we're using the translate parameters, and now I can see that the grid is not much down, so I'm gonna put -25 maybe. Okay, and we can reset the particle state. Yeah, so now there we can maybe increase the force a bit slow. Okay, so now let's create a bubbly material for these bubbles. We can use again the physical material. We're gonna make it glossy again, and we can maybe add some rim light to it, because it will make the bubbles pop a bit more. One rim light from the top and one from the bottom. So we see it like here, and then we're gonna use alpha, not this uniform alpha, but we can just play a bit with how we want it. Let's just maybe add it to the geometry to see how it looks. And to have, because TouchDesigner does not really work like other 3D programs with like translucency, transparency, it's more like compositing them, so you always have to tell TouchDesigner how it should composite it. Let's just see it in First is in 2D and transparency, order independent transparency, alpha to coverage. Yeah, I think the independent transparency works good in this case. Cube map. And we can, because it's transparent, we can maybe put it over just a white constant. So we can see more how they look. Okay, and now we can play with the material. Yeah, okay, it's a nice bubbly. I'm gonna maybe turn off the rim light for now, not to be confusing. Alpha. Maybe the other way around, so we look more bubbly. No. Okay. And the base color, let's give it some color. Okay, so we have these bubbles, we have these blobs, and okay, let's now start with the audio reaction. Not to go too deep into that, TouchDesigner comes with some presets. We can use this one, which is called audio analysis. Drop it in the file, and I'm gonna use a track by Sode. We're gonna be recording their set a bit later after me. So we have a track here, but here we don't have any output, so I'm just gonna add output to have so you can listen. So now we have an output. And what does the audio analysis tell us? We can use these kicks, snare, rhythm, or just be flowing low, mid, highs. Then there's these spectral densities, so we can play with any of that really. Just gonna lower the volume for now a bit. And so what can we do? We can maybe make this heart go like bouncing, like scaling up and down with the lows maybe. So to do that, I'm gonna check here, and the channel is called just low, so I'm gonna copy that, go to the heart, go to scale, drop it there. Now I have to, because I just copied it, so I have to audio analysis. Now it should be working. Okay, and if I copy this to all of the channels, the heart is now beating like crazy. So let's maybe put 0.5 plus in front of it, so it's not disappearing completely. Okay. Then maybe we have to do a different thing, which is take constant and have this low value as the constant. So audio analysis. Audio analysis. Is the value? No. Okay. No, okay, capital letter. Because TouchDesigner is in Python, and the Python is sensitive about small or big letters, so this is the problem I had here. And then now we can work with adjusting the range. Now we have it 0 to 1, and we maybe want just the heart to be bouncing from 0.5 to 1. And now we can use this value and just drag it. It's much easier. Yo, now it's reacting much nicer. So the heart is not disappearing completely. And now I see that we have one extra heart in there. Let's see if I turn this off. Nope, that was not the problem. Okay, never mind. But let's have some fun with other things that are just free on your computer, which might be a video device, your webcam. And let's make low, so now we can see me from 2 angles. And let's create a material that will just have my face on it. And put it... Okay, let's just change this material. Ooh! So now it's a rainbow material with my face on it, and okay, we can make it lighter, not that light. Okay. You could also just make it matte. Now it's looked better. Okay, so now we have a material with a video on it. We have a bouncing heart that's bouncing to the music. We could control, for example, the noise by, for example, this spectral density, which would make it just bounce more slimy at some points, and sometimes it would be just a ball. So let's use the spectral centroid. Maybe let's do it in a smart way, like here. Here with a constant. Taking that value, not making the same mistake with the audio analysis. This. So we have this value, and just do a null here. And now all these noises, we can, for example, control the period of noise. Let's see what that does. Okay. Now, no, that does not look that fun. So let's use it for something else and just keep the period at 1. The amplitude, maybe. Yeah. So now you can see that the noise is just very slight, and it will get a bit more aggressive. Now it's almost none, and it will get more aggressive again. But maybe for this part we wanted the reverse value. Yeah. Okay, I just changed it to one of the noises. So I'm gonna, yeah, it's okay to leave them like this. And yeah, so we have some interaction going on here. Maybe we could also animate the background a bit. We could do that by switching between 2 of these ramps. So just gonna take the exact same gradient, but just change the colors a bit, move them around, see how that will look. And we can be using, what can we be using to drive that switch? We could be using the kick drum, for example. So kick detection. And again, audio analysis. So now you can, there's nothing happening, but when the kick comes in, it will be very, very flashy. Let's see. And here we go, we have to apply it, of course, to the environment. So now we can see it reflected, and now we can use it for the constant. Ooh! So now the only thing that we need to do is how to export this video. So as I said before, in the free version you can only export 720p, but that might be just fine for some purposes. So let's to export that, but also with the sound. We do movie file out, and this will depend also whether you're using Mac or Windows, and also it will depend on your graphic card. So everyone will just have different options here, and I usually just use codec H.264, MP3 at the highest quality, frames per second just 25 fine will just do just fine. So I have an audio visual input here, and I also need the audio chop. So I'm gonna split the screen and go inside the audio analysis and just drag this, just drag this audio device out into the chop and go back to full screen. So now by pressing record, we're gonna record the video. I'm gonna record just a really short piece because I don't know how it goes with the grabbing of my screen. We'll see. Okay, might get a bit Now we see the frame rate dropped a bit, but it's still above 25, so it should be just okay. So now I can stop it here and see what happened. Also have to check where did I actually record this. Okay, I'll find it on desktop. So this should be it. And now if we're gonna open this, and we see that the video is there. It's a bit glitchy still, but okay, but the video is still a rectangle. And to upload this thing to YouTube or to a VR set, or just to see it in Windows, you need to add metadata to this video file that tell the computer that this is a 360 video. And you can get a free app that's called Spatial Media Metadata Injector. And so it's a very simple app that tells us, we're gonna just open the file. Basically what it does, it just makes a copy of the file on your hard drive and adds the metadata into the file. So we just click here, my video is spherical, and we don't need any of these. And just do inject metadata, desktop, yay, and it's done. So now if we open this file, even Windows should be able to see that it's 360 video. Oh yeah. And now we can orbit in it. See some blobby faces. So that's basically it. It's very dumbed down tutorial how to create a 360 video using TouchDesigner, Microsoft 3D Paint, and Spatial Metadata Injector. There's one thing that might happen. If your movie file out doesn't work, that, for example, that was my case with a Mac, I had to just record it by screen grabbing. But by this screen grabbing, sometimes there's like the frame rate drops and the frame rate is not stable. And to fix that, there's a free app that's called Handbrake. So in case you have those issues, if you then like try to edit it in some Adobe program, or just like video editing program, it might just not be opening or just not be collaborating at all, just have black frames. So this program called Handbrake, you just drop the file there and it will fix the frame rate, and then you can work with it. Okay, so I guess that's all. Please, if you have anything to say to me, let me know, because I'm just very just using TouchDesigner in a very dumbed down way, and I'm probably not doing stuff properly. So if you have any suggestions for me, let me know. And thank you for your attention, and thanks RASK for hosting this, and thanks for Sodil for the track, and I'm looking forward to their set.